regional and national action. Here's Bobby Chaffee and Rodney Rodriguez.
Oh, it's Monday night. You know what that means. It's everybody's favorite racing talk show back on the air again. The Revved Sports Show. Showtime Bobby Chaffee right here. The Iceman Rodney Rodriguez. That's that man over there. Welcome one and all to the show that started it all. I liked them Halloween vibes you were kind of giving off with the intro music there when we were getting ready.
You like that?
That's good.
Yeah, we got Halloween tomorrow. It's cold as hell around here, and so I think it kind of feels a little bit like October finally, man. It was, dude, I had to go out this morning, and I walked out. I was in sandals and shorts and all my regular attire, and, dude, I was freezing my ass off out there. It's like, damn, I like the fact that it finally feels like October, November. It's
November.
about that time. It's about that time.
Yeah, I mean, it is definitely November, not October. Well, I guess no, it is still October.
Yeah.
I mean, the World Series is on tonight, so it's not on Halloween.
That's right. Yeah. Tomorrow's 31/10, October 31st, Halloween time. So hopefully all of you friends that are going out doing trick-or-treating and all the various things that you all do, hopefully you're going to be safe with that. I mean, don't be doing dumb things. I mean, because, it's
Check your candy. Make sure you make sure, gentlemen, make sure that when the MILFs come to the front door, be nice. You know, they like dad bods now, so just be nice to the MILFs when they come into the door.
That's right.
Because that's always a good sign. You can tell, based upon how nice they are when they come up to the door with the kids and all of that. You get a good sense,
I think this year I may actually leave the lights on at my house. Well, we're going to have Game 4. We'll have Game 4 of the World Series going on tomorrow. So I'm not sure if I want people bothering me.
Is it back-to-back? Or I thought Game 4 was going to be on.
No, you got three of them. You got
Wednesday
three of
night
them in Arizona. So it's going to be all back-to-back right here as we get set to go. And we actually did. I know I had to miss Storm and Steve Sims. The famous Halloween party was on Sunday last night with him. Had to miss that.
I was sad I missed that, but I had other things that I had to finally get done.
I had to tend to business, but we actually did a Halloween thing on Saturday night, and my wife, it's so funny with her when we're doing things, it's like she always gives me hell because we're going to a party, great party, a bunch of great friends, good friends of ours and some new friends that I met there on Saturday night. And she's always giving me hell. She's like, it's so funny with you because you go to these places and you're going to have to talk to people, but you don't want to talk to people. And I'm like, it's not. I don't know what is the deal with that. I mean, we sit here, we talk to people all the time, and it is kind of one of those things to where when I get in public, sometimes it's like I just don't want to talk to people. I don't know what the deal is.
You just don't want to be bothered, or you just don't want to talk to somebody?
Man,
that's two sets. Those are mutually exclusive.
It's like, I don't mind talking to people, but I want to talk to people about things that I want to talk about. When people come up and they're like. And that's the funny thing with me. What always happens with me is when I go out in a deal like on Saturday night, some of those folks knew that that I do sports talk or whatever the case is, and they come up and they want to, like on Saturday night, they want to break down the Texas game, and I'm like, man, I don't care. Yeah, I'm going to do that next week. I'm going to do that, Monday through Friday. I don't care about that. They want to talk about college football and all this stuff, and I'm like, I don't really want to do that right now. I'm off the clock, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So it's funny, and then a lot of times, people come up and to me, people want to do small talk, and I think that's why I've kind of talked myself out of being in real estate full time. Is like I don't converse well anymore, unfortunately.
That seems odd.
I know, and it, I've had some folks.
It's not a midlife crisis.
I'm
well
well past that. I'm well past that. I've had some folks, even like before races, where they come up and they want to chit chat, they want to boom 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 boom, just talk away, and I'm like an hour out, from race time, and it's like, oh. Actually, one guy tell me, he's like, man, you're kind of a dick. I'm like, no, I'm not a dick. I'm getting prepared to go do my job.
I'm getting focused.
Yes, I'm getting focused, and I've got a job to do, and I don't want to just bullshit at that time,
Dude, what's your take on birthdays at the racetrack? I mean, like I get part of what we do as announcers is to, make people feel welcome and all that.
Mm-hmm.
The problem I have with the birthdays is that you'll get somebody to, I can't think of a better word other than pester. Will constantly tell you about a birthday. You mention one birthday, and then everybody else's cousin's, sister's, husband's, ex-wife's, girlfriend comes up and has a birthday, whether it's within a week, whether it's within a month. And sometimes when you have, back in the day at THR and CTS, when we had extra hands up there, like the Puppet Master and Christine and a few other extra hands and helpers, if you will, it was easier to do the birthdays because you had somebody there to write it down, and you wouldn't have people come up right in the middle of the damn race to try to say, oh, it's their birthday. What?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what? It's their birthday. Who? No. Oh, it's their birthday. Oh, okay, great. I'll get to it. And it's like, I don't know. I mean, maybe that's
it was
that may be like, singing violins to crickets right now.
It's no. I mean, back in those times, I mean, it always was, and I was, always the one that, when I was doing stuff, and this was back before, the streaming stuff where it was like dual, broadcasting versus, just doing PA and so forth, to where I would welcome people to come tell me about when I could do it in front of the crowd. And I would always say, hey, look, if you're getting divorced, let me know. I'd like to address that. And that was always a big hit right there. But I mean, the whole thing is when people come up with the birthday, when folks walk up and it's like, hey, when you get a chance, can you tell John Doe happy birthday from his, and like naming all his relatives and all this different shit. And I'm like, man, you've got to write this down.
Write it down.
Write it down. Slip me something so I can remember to do this, because, man, I mean, no offense, that's the least of my concerns. When I'm trying to present a great racing program,
And the second rule of thumb, just because you don't hear it doesn't mean we didn't say it.
That's the whole thing. That's the whole thing, because a lot of times
it kills me. Someone's like, I didn't hear it. Say it again, or they didn't hear it. Say it again. Well, I mean, sorry, they missed out.
Well, and the other thing with that, when people climb up me about, well, say it again, I'm like, well, whoa, this is my show. I'm going to say it when I can, and if you're fortunate enough to get that done, and I'm, man,
time is precious up there.
I'm going to piss people off here. I'm not the biggest fan of the whole shout out thing. I mean, it's like, I mean, yes, I love people to watch our races, whether it's on Race On or Racing America or in Flow Sports. I don't give a damn where you're checking in or if you're there. But, I mean, honestly, I'm glad you're watching, but I don't need to tell you thank you for doing that. And I mean,
fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah.
It's like, I don't, I mean, I know that some guys are like, it's great. I mean, I'll give you a shout out and all that. I don't have time for that. I do not have time for that, because I'm sitting there trying to condense what's going on with the race, trying to watch all the different action that's going on, and it's not the place for me. I'm not doing a DJ show. I'm not Mixmaster X. I'm not Mixmaster R up there trying to present whatever. I'm trying to do a show is what I'm doing. And I totally get it. I mean, it's all different styles. And I know that folks do things a lot of different ways. That's just not the way I've done it. That's just not. And again, I mean, if you guys, and that's the whole thing. The other part to me that gets a little crazy sometimes is like people will blow me up on text or messenger during a race. And it's like, guys, I'm sorry.
I can't see. Every once in a while,
I'm not watching my phone.
Well,
man.
because the way that I do timing and scoring, I have like one on the phone, one on the tablet, one on the other tablet. So sometimes I'll see a message pop up.
Yeah.
But it's like the random shit that's like, hey, something's happening in the Cup race. Thanks for ruining that for me, but.
Well, if I go to a race and let's say I'm working for Owen Pittman on a weekend, Owen Pittman knows how to get a hold of me if he needs me to do something.
Yeah, he'll send me. He sends me a text. He knows, or he'll get somebody on the radio. But because you and I are not, you and I usually don't have receivers.
No, and I don't want one.
Because when people see us with receivers on, they assume that we made the call, and they want to yell at us because we're the only official they see, even though we're not officials.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing with that. And I mean, when people are like, and the whole other thing is like, if you have a problem with your race feed, I mean, if your internet is crashing and for whatever reason, Race on Texas isn't working, don't message me. I can't fix that, especially in the middle of the race. I mean, even if I was producing the thing, I can't sit there and fix that. I mean, I'm sitting there trying to do, my job. I mean, so I think a lot of folks don't understand exactly what we do. Um, um, I don't know. It's hard to explain, but again, it's like
Maybe Caleb can help us figure out how to do all of that at one time.
which we will talk to him. Great lead in right there. We'll talk to him around 7:35 coming up here in just a couple of minutes. We'll talk to Ryder Wells, who has had quite a year with his rookie season on pavement and doing stuff on dirt. We had a guest that was slotted in there. We didn't post that because it still wasn't sure and it still hadn't been confirmed. So we might be freestyling. We might be going NASCAR for a little while there, talking to, which there's plenty to talk about when it comes on the NASCAR stuff.
Yeah, well, Denny Hamlin, a lot of our favorite drivers beat Denny Hamlin to the championship 4.
Well, and that's, something that you see right there. With Denny, it's like, still getting beat up because he can't seem to find a way to win a championship. But I mean, one of the things that I want to beat up on, I mean, I want to go in there if we're going to talk about stuff. I want to talk about RCR because to me, RCR is.
Yeah, we talked. We texted about that today. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like everybody. I haven't watched NASCAR since RCR. Because RCR is the staple of all this. I'm like, okay. Have you watched him lately? I don't think that's exactly still the standard that you want to be. Measured up to at this point.
Yeah, it's one of those things where both guys did it right. But I mean, I didn't get to see the whole thing to know whether or not if Sheldon Creed doesn't win, do they both get in, or is it one of those where he needed to win? Did they both need to win to get in? I don't know. I didn't get to watch that section of it. So
yeah, I didn't know all the details on how that was supposed to work. But the one thing that I do know is that man, you got a pissing match going back and forth to where you got Andy Petrie and RC himself is all pissed off and doing all these different things and it's like, come on, man, you're supposed to be the flag bearer here of NASCAR ownership, and you're kind of making yourself look bad in my opinion. But what do we know? I don't know anything. But we can talk about that a little bit later on. But lots to break down. I mean, the cool thing is we're into big race season, and like you and I were talking about before the show, Bobby, we're sitting here talking about. I mean, like with Texana, with all those races that are coming up, man. This is big race time, and you got a lot of money that's going to be on the line, and it's about to get a little bit heated right now.
Oh yeah. When it comes time to for the big checks to get cash, those big nuts jangle together, and they sometimes get tied up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's exactly what's going to happen here as we start diving into this. But looking forward to the program tonight as we get set to talk to some really cool folks. Ryder Wells is coming up here in just a minute. We will pull him right in here very shortly as we get set for Revved Up. And let's dive in there right now. Going to the hotline for the first time tonight, and we are bringing in a young dude right here. He's thrilled him on the pavement. He's thrilled him on the dirt, and right now he's about to thrill you guys on the Revved Up Sports Show. Welcome to Russ for the first time, our man, Ryder Wells. Ryder, how we doing, brother?
Good. How are y'all? Thank y'all for having me.
Absolutely, my friend. Great to have you aboard. So Ryder, let's talk about your season just in general. I mean, you're one of those guys where you've been a hybrid. You're doing the dirt, you're doing asphalt, you're doing all of it, man. Kind of walk us through just how everything has worked for you to this point.
Yeah. So we started racing on dirt last year with the sprint cars and stuff. We had prior to that with all the dirt stuff, and we decided to make the jump over to asphalt, and we started kind of doing both, racing over there at H&P with the trucks, had some good success, still racing the sprint cars, had some good success, kept carrying our season until we got in the wreck with the sprint car and went strictly asphalt. Have had great success in the asphalt in my rookie season, and kept racing that, got second in the points over there at H&P just a few weekends ago. That was a bummer, but it's still a good thing for my rookie year to do that. Just missed out by 1 point. and also one spot to win that race that weekend. But we were mid-season points champion in the asphalt as well over there at H&P. Have a few third place trophies sitting there behind me, as well as a second in the championship race.
Love it.
So you mentioned the bad luck that you had in the sprint car down at that was actually down in Texana back when I was announcing down there, and you took a tumble, dude. That was one hell of a wreck you had in that little mini sprint of yours. And so when that happens, are you holding on? Are you letting go of the wheel? Or you just, it happened so fast you don't even remember how you reacted on something like that when you tumble 4 or 5 times, barrel roll down the back straightaway into the middle of the corner?
Normally, when you start getting the roll, you would let go of the wheel and either hold your belts or just keep your hands out of the wheel so you don't get locked up in it or whatever. But that was such a weird deal with my motor braking, trying to keep it out of the wall, trying to keep it forward, wasn't locked up. I was trying to react at 3 different things at one time. And at the point where I saw the wall, I just had to let go and let it roll until I ended on my side. Well, then we caught fire, and the safety guys got out there and helped me pull out of the car, and that was a whole deal on its own.
Yeah. Ryder, talk about this. I mean, especially for you being, like you're talking about, a rookie and all this stuff. I mean, the difference right there, it's one thing if you were driving stock cars on dirt versus, with the truck and all of that. But the transition that you have made between doing what you're doing on dirt versus pavement, I think that's really proven your versatility and just how good you are behind the wheel. Doing them back and forth. Talk about going back and forth between the two different variations of racing right there.
Yeah, with the sprint cars, it's almost like hammer down, and whoever's not scared of it will win the race. You put it on the wall, you pass on the bottom, slide jobs all over the place, and if you're not scared and you can get around those guys and hold it down, you'll end up front pretty quickly. With the truck, you got to be more strategic and hold your line, try to pass when you can, keep the tires on it, all of that, where, sprint cars are not like that. You can rev them up and you can go.
Yeah.
So it's a lot different deal getting in each car, especially whenever we were doing one every other weekend, we were getting in different ones. So, you had to keep that in the back of your mind, transferring over those, and, about every, 2 laps into each one in the hot laps, I would get it back in my mind and we would be good to go every weekend. But it's totally a different deal in between those 2 cars.
Mm-hmm.
So, Ryder, let's talk about H&P in terms of, so how did the whole deal come about to where you decided to make the transition to a full body, well, we'll say stock car, stock truck, whatever you want to call it, stock car with the truck body. What was the thought process behind that? Is that the end goal, is to start running more pavement races, moving up to maybe a modified, a touring late model, moving on up to the NASCAR chain? What was the driving force behind getting into the trucks as a whole in asphalt?
Kind of like what you just said, start moving up the ranks in asphalt. We needed to get on the asphalt, and we went out there to H&P to watch on the last race last season, and we really liked the truck series, so we decided to start looking. Found Jim Teague and Jake Kruger were selling that 16 truck. Yeah. Talked to them, ended up buying that. Had great success with it, and that's why we jumped over to asphalt. We need asphalt on my resume. It's been great success, and I've had really fun doing that over there at H&P with all those guys.
No doubt. And Ryder, kind of talking about that with that, and it's been great to watch you, winning that midseason championship that you talked about with the guys that you're racing against. I mean, with Rick Polero, and I mean, all of these guys, Jake Wright. I mean, just kind of speak to that right there. I mean, yourself jumping in right there. I mean, some of those guys, I mean, they're going to rough you up a little bit. I mean, it's kind of one of those things, but you dive in and you're racing with some of the best that have ever done this, man. You got to feel really accomplished racing against those guys this year.
Yeah, we are, and definitely I feel accomplished with the stuff that I've done. Those few, that midseason points champion, even the second in points. I talked to Rick after the race, and for a good little bit, and he was just all over me. Don't put your head down, keep yourself up, keep going. You're gonna have many championships coming up with you. So. Jake Wright, all those guys, even Jake Kruger jumping in on that last race and having a race against him, that really proved to me that I can do it whenever, we ran second to him in qualifying by that little bit that we had, and then ran right behind him almost all race. And then caution came out, got around him. Sadly, he was able to get around me on the top side, but that stuff happens. But, the first few races of the season, I definitely I definitely had to hold my ground. They were definitely roughing me up,
Yeah.
trying to get me riled up, but I had to hold my ground. And I think towards the middle of the season and toward the end of the season, I've proved myself, and they've given me a little bit more space, and we've been racing pretty clean here lately.
That's right.
So in terms of the season as a whole, right? You ended up being second in points. You missed it by a point. And that, like I said, nothing to hold your head down about that at all. Because I talked to Rick for the championship interview, and he went on for about 2 minutes about how good you are and how much potential you've got and how far you're going to go up the ranks. You talked about getting settled in the truck and finding your groove. Explain that to somebody that doesn't know what it means to get in the groove in a race car. Is it something that, like, a quarterback will have the field slow down and he'll see his receivers emerge in certain spots? Is that something that you experienced racing your truck, where some of the racing kind of slowed down and you could maneuver and go places you didn't think you could go? Talk about just finding that groove that you talked about finding in the truck.
Yeah, it all depends on kind of where you start. You got to slow everything down, and kind of get where everybody is, follow those guys. You got to find where they're messing up so you can get the passes and find that groove and sit behind them for a little bit and find all that. But, whenever you start on the outside, kind of like what I did, you have just a few laps before you're shuffled out to the back. If you don't get lucky and find that hole. So your spotter, which most of the time is my dad, is really important up there, trying to find you that hole, and you got to get down whenever you can and get in that groove that you had. Once you get down in that groove, you slow everything down. You start picking them off one by one until you get up to the front, and then it gets even more exciting whenever you catch them lap cars, and you kind of have to maneuver around them while you're still trying to race for the lead, like what me and Jake had going on. So, and then whenever you start on the bottom, it's kind of, you just have to hold them guys up top where they can't get down, so you can get those spots back. And then after that, when everybody's settled in, it's the same thing. You got to go fishing. You got to pick them off and pick them off and pick them off. And that's different from whenever we were racing sprint cars, where if you started on the top versus you started on the bottom, you're going to come out of turn 2 the same way. And you're going to come out of turn 4 the same way until someone finally gets to run on the top or the bottom, or finds the slick, or finds the wet spots on the straightaway where you have those runs. And then about 5 laps into it, you'll start having the passes, just like what you kind of do in the trucks.
Yeah. Yeah. You mentioned your dad right there, Zach Wells. I always like to ask guys when they come on, especially young dudes like you. Talk about that relationship with him. Obviously, crew chief, truck owner, car owner, whatever you want to call it, driver coach. Just kind of talk about that part. It's always really fantastic for folks to kind of break down that relationship with their dad, exactly how that works. Because it is part dad, part driver coach, part sometimes up your tail, depending on what's going on. Just kind of talk about that relationship with your dad.
Yeah, we're really close. We're in the shop every single night, and then we're at the races every single weekend, riding in the truck, all of that. So we have a really close connection there. But, he is not a racer. He has never done anything with racing until I got into it. And I only got into it about 7-8 years ago. And he never even really watched NASCAR before I got into it. So we had no idea what we were getting ourselves into. So, we've learned along the way with the people that we've found. And, he does all the roles that he can, and I do all the roles I can. I work on the car. I set up the car. I drive the car, as well as he does all that. Crew chief, spotter. We're really close in all of that, and we have to talk a lot, and he's definitely helped me on my talking side, where if I have to get in front of somebody, I'm comfortable talking to those guys, because he's helped me learn those terminologies as much as I've helped him learn those. So, I think we kind of have a 1-2 helping hand where we help each other.
Love it.
So Ryder, talk real quick about that. You said you weren't into racing before you started racing. So how did you get involved when you first started racing here?
So I actually found go-kart racing on YouTube, just up one late night, and it came across my feed on YouTube, clicked on it, and then just went down a rabbit hole for about 2 or 3 days and just kept watching. Showed my iPad to my dad when I was, 8 or 9, found a local track that wasn't but 15, 20 minutes away from our house that raced them. Went out there. One of the guys let me get in a go-kart, and went out there and busted a few laps, did pretty good. So we decided to get ourselves one and get into it. And we did that, raced out here at Golden Triangle Raceway in Beaumont, Texas. Ended up being champion for the Junior 1 class. Went on and started racing on these national races whenever that track sadly had to close down. Raced a ton of national races, won a ton of stuff. Got 4th in the O'Reilly Nationals up there in Batesville. kept moving on, raced all that kind of stuff until we got into the sprint cars. Was Hoosier Tire Rookie of the Year, Gulf Coast Track Champion, came second in the national level all in my rookie year, and made the A main at the Tulsa Shootout that same year. And then the next year went up and started racing in the A class stuff, as well as kind of, jumping back and forth in between restrictor and A class, running when we can. Won a bunch of races that year in the restrictors, had some good success in A class. Last year went full-time A class racing, all up there in Oklahoma and Kansas, and even some still down here in Houston at, Gulf Coast Speedway 105, all those tracks, and had great success and kept racing all those, and then moved on to the trucks.
So what's going to happen next for you? I mean, it's one thing, we see a lot of guys that do dirt and asphalt and are, I really think that these days it's very complimentary to be good at both of them. And you are very much good at that. I mean, is there some factory stock stuff? I mean, maybe sport mod or limited modified, whatever you want to call it. Is that something that maybe you're looking at doing to kind of complement your truck stuff, or what's moving forward for you guys in 2024?
As well as the 11 race season that we have at H&P that Owen Pittman and those entire guys out there put on that we're super excited for. We have some things lined up at a couple of different places, but it's all just kind of depending on sponsor stuff. We're working really hard trying to find some sponsors. We need some sponsors. It all just kind of depends on that money line. So we're working to try to do that. We have some things lined up that all just depends on that. But as of right now, that 11 race season is looking pretty good for us.
No doubt.
All right, dude. So, speaking of 2024, how cool was that to see that schedule released so early in terms of having the, it seemed like that momentum was building for everybody, and that whole place from the grandstands to the pits and everything just had this glow about it and had that. How cool was that to see that schedule released that early so that you can concentrate on other stuff and trying to get your programs up and running for 2024?
Yeah, that was definitely something that we had to have in the back of our mind coming to the end of the season is what's going to happen in 2024 with H&P and the different tracks and stuff, and seeing them released that early kind of lifted us up and, hey, let's go get this race over and let's go get this win. And then let's move on to 2024 and start getting our stuff ready and start upgrading our stuff to go get this 11 race season underway. We're really excited about that. And, we're looking forward to that. Definitely got our stuff up and coming, right after the snowball. That's what we're looking at.
Love it.
Two things. So as a former marketing guy, what you can do is a hashtag for all your social media, 24 and 24, right? That's what you can use for your stuff. And then speaking of the Derby, are you going to take the truck to the Derby? Or are you gonna...
I think he just dropped a bomb right there.
Yeah, you going to take the truck to the Derby?
I think he just dropped a bomb right there.
We're getting the truck ready right now to go to the Derby. We got some stuff going on, and we're gonna go out there to the Derby and see what we can't do out there. We're really excited to bring the truck out there and hopefully we can do pretty good out there.
Yeah, no doubt, man. That's awesome, dude. I'm so glad and proud that you're going to do that, man. That's a great way to cap off the year. Just get out there and do some really cool stuff. Man, congratulations to you and your family for everything that you guys have accomplished. I love the fact that you've got new blood in here. We've got new folks that come in, and they make an immediate impact right there. I watch you guys with that midseason championship, winning that, and man, and battling those old dudes. I mean, and I can call them old dudes because I know them all. I mean, Polero, all those guys, them old farts. I mean, I've been around them for years. You're getting out there wrestling with those guys, and it's really cool to see, my friend.
Thank you, sir. Thank y'all for having me.
Absolutely, man. Take care. Well, we'll see you in Florida, my man. Can't wait for that.
Yes, sir.
You got it.
Can't wait.
Yep, you bet. Take care. There he goes. Yes, there he goes right there. How about that? A little bit of a bombshell right there.
Look at that. Lighten up the world. But that's a good transition for him. He has lots of good momentum, and he's able to come through and actually, be able to make a, if he goes down and there's nothing better. People like winners, right? That's the one thing that Chip Ganassi always said. He likes winners. And the one thing that doesn't matter what level you're at, sponsors and car owners, yes, winning solves a lot of problems, but running up front confidently is something that sponsors look at. Everybody likes a winner, which is, you win, and it's not like an instantaneous sponsor, but it's the constant running up front that helps out.
Yeah.
You can win, you can get lucky and win a race, but you're not going to get sponsors. You run up front like he did with a midseason championship, second place in points by 1 point, and come through that way. It's like that's what sponsors look at. And then the ability to race on both surfaces, that's pretty cool. And now he's got a chance to showcase his talent and ability down there at the Derby and what people say is the biggest truck race of the year.
Yeah. And the thing is, what was really so impressive about him is that watching him, throughout the year with, what we're talking about right there. And the whole thing is, I mean, look, you guys know, racing with Rick, racing with all these guys. I mean, they are. I mean,
they're a little rough around the edges on occasion.
They're going to sit there and they're going to do everything that they can to make you fuck up. And that kid right there, he did a hell of a job. He just held his ground. And you would watch him. I mean, there were times in the races that I was there where he'd kind of fall back a little bit, and he would let the race come to him. Is really the one thing to me that was so impressive. And that's really, I think, what it takes these days in these big races to where it's like, man, you can't get out there. You can't do stupid shit. And he never did. I mean, he never did. And talking to him right there, you can see why. I mean, because this is a very level-headed kid that has everything kind of working for him. And I think it's so, to me, it's so interesting and so exciting that, like he's talking about right there, like his dad was Zach. I mean, they haven't done this forever, and that's the one thing that we see so many folks. I mean, all of us, we've been
started with a YouTube video of a go-kart. Now he's in a pro truck,
right? And that's the kind of folks that we need to continue to get excited to be a part of this and to want to be a part of this sport, and that's so exciting. And for him to say that he's going to the Derby, I mean, that's man, I'm excited for those guys, man. They're going to love that experience. And this is one of those things we're talking to them about, racing dirt and all this stuff and whatever's going to happen right there. They go run that Derby, they're going to be like, holy shit, we may be stuck on asphalt from now on.
Yeah, it might be. I mean, it might be one of those things where they changed the whole outlook of their pavement program. If they've never been to the Derby, it's a unique environment in itself. Are tickets still available for the Derby? Do we know? I don't think it's sold out yet.
No, not yet. You can still check in right there at FiveFlagsSpeedway.com, and they will hook you up. Call the best advice that I can give you for
call
the Derby,
Carol and get down there,
or Miss Pat.
Miss Pat, yes.
Call right now. Call Miss Pat, and she's going to find you a place. I mean, she's going to find you a place. They will get you all set up and get you in there. And the whole thing is about the Derby. Still, to me, is to where as big as it is. You get down there and just all the pageantry, everything that's going on. It's still, I mean, you still got to get yourself down there.
It still feels like a home race when you're there because you know everybody that's there.
And it's cheap to get in there. I mean, it's cheap.
$50 for right at $50 for out the whole week.
Yeah, I mean, you can get in there for next to nothing, and you're going to have Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You're going to have a dirt track show on pavement. But I say that, but they've been doing this for I don't know how many years.
50, is this 55 or 56?
A lot. I mean, and I do want to work. I do want to work to get Tim on this show, and we'll have a great conversation with him, hopefully right before the Derby, just to kind of preview everything that's going on. And I think now that you've got the super late model wars, with SRL and ASA and ASA changing rules and all that, and I think it's about to get really real with this divide because with the rule changes and so forth, I'm
good rule changes or bad rule changes?
I'm not the biggest fan of some of the ASA rule changes. I know why they're doing them. I mean, I totally get that part. I mean, it makes it beneficial to me for somebody that sells GM engines to where I'm hoping that that's something that's going to work out. But I mean, I don't know. That's where we watch everything with racing to where you get the divide and you get the separation and all that. And I just wish that we could figure out a way to make all this. Everybody could play nice and figure out a way to work.
You'd think so, but the personalities involved are not known for. I don't know. Level-headedness is maybe not the right word, but that's the first term that comes to mind. Very. Strong in beliefs in their home beliefs, so to speak, and they don't open up to other ideas very well.
3 letters, EGO, ego.
There you go. That works too. Big egos on that, and they have reasons to have egos because they are all successful.
Absolutely. I mean, it's one of those things we can we can call them out and we can point out all the differences, but these are folks that have done this for a long time, and they've done an exceptional job at this, and I just really wish that. I don't know. I mean, I think that, racing head to head and doing all these different things. And this is the same thing that we've talked about with dirt. And I saw something, this morning that I was really, I don't know exactly what all went down at 37 this past weekend with the double white flags and all that. But, I saw a racer that was, talking about whatever may have happened right there. And look, a little solace on the track officials and all that is great. And it's kind of one of those things to where it's like, if a track fucks up, if they do something wrong, it's okay. It's okay. Just calm.
It happens. And so you have to. Did you see the post? Was it Halford that posted that deal today about the track owner that was like, it was so much better 20 years ago before social media ruined everything about short track racing?
I didn't see that, but
it basically to the effect of it's an instantaneously, while it is beneficial to some aspects of passing words on and getting news out and stuff like that, it turns into an instantaneously pipeline of bitching about everything, because if the line is too long,
yeah,
and the food is too cold, they get back in their seat, and from that seat they bitch and moan about it while they're at the racetrack in there.
Yeah.
And it starts with food, then it goes, oh, they took too long to clean up, they had too many restarts. It's really, I'll have to find it and send it to you. It made a lot of sense on a lot of the stuff that we talk about on here.
Well, and that's really the point. I mean, because that, every now and then you do see a positive post about, the officials did a great job and, whatever the case is. But it's all too often what you're talking about right there towards straight to the negative. It's like you go and you find one thing that was wrong. And it's going to be, especially when you get to an event, to these big events. I mean, stuff is going to happen. And when you get to the DT,
watch the jalapenos. Remember, KR got his ass chewed online because somebody had too many jalapenos in his nachos.
And when you get to the DTK this past weekend, they had the odds stacked against them. The weather was not their friend.
I'm surprised they actually raced. I really am with that weather forecast. They got lucky with the rain that didn't hit, but they did an exceptional job with the racetrack for the rain that did hit.
Yeah, and I saw a lot of folks beating up Heart of Texas this past weekend, with, oh, well, shit, they let us on, whatever. Look, if it would have been real easy for Selby and those folks to have been on Wednesday, look, we're not even going to try this. And I get it. I mean, I see it from both sides, to where folks are towing all the way to Waco to be a part of this. And I get that. And yeah, it sucks to get there. I have driven to Waco 2 or 3 different times to where it's like, I'm looking at the radar and it's horrible. And I get there and it's like, we're canceled. But I get it. I mean, they're still sitting there trying to get the race in because those folks are going to show up and they're going to want to get out there and race it. And I totally understand. I mean, you can't recoup, fuel spendage or whatever you want to call it. You can't get that back. But the whole thing is you have these people that are working their asses off, and that was kind of the post right there with the I-37 thing. And I still saw people beating this dude up. And pardon me, I don't remember exactly who it was that posted it, but he mentioned that he called himself a field filler. And look, man, I hate that term. Ain't no such thing as a field filler. If you're on the racetrack, you're a fucking racer. That's what you are. Don't ever call yourself a field filler. Don't ever call yourself a back runner. Don't ever do any of that. If you're busting your ass to get on the racetrack, you are a car racer. And when you get in a situation like that, it's like, people are still going to beat up the racetrack. And what I liked that this gentleman said was that people start questioning the integrity of the racetrack. And that's the worst part to me is when people start questioning or when people, it's not so much, Bobby, about people questioning the integrity. It's just that they say shit that questions the integrity.
Yeah.
And that's just not cool, man. That's not cool for people that are, for all intents and purposes, voluntarily doing this shit.
Yeah.
Right?
Find out at the racetrack. Most of these people volunteer their time. If they are compensated, they are not compensated very well.
Confiscated?
Confiscated, yeah. Sorry, I'm multitasking. I'm trying to find this article for you. But I don't think it was Halford that posted it. I'll have to find it again.
Yeah, and it's a whole thing where you can get into conversations where little things that may be said, they can be interpreted totally the wrong way, and that seems to be something, that it goes without saying happens, time after time, and I wish that wasn't the case, but it really is, and just when people start talking about that, it's something that you can't go back and change that. That's the unfortunate thing about so many of these conversations. Speaking of that, I mean, there was something yesterday. In the post race with Ryan Blaney, who has punched his ticket into the Final Four of the NASCAR Cup Championship. And you had some folks talking to him after the race, and one of these reporters goes off and starts talking about being lucky. And I'm like, okay, hold on just 1 minute. And I like what Ryan Blaney did when that question came up. Take a listen to this.
Ryan, over the past 3 weeks, you kind of found Jimmy Johnson's lucky horseshoe, so to speak. But aside from your luck, your performance has been strong. What has been the turning point for your team?
What's been lucky about it? I don't think anything's been lucky about it. The last 3 weeks we've been running amazing. We've run up towards the front in Vegas, led laps at Homestead, had a good shot to win, and we won today. I don't think there's any luck that it goes into this. Yeah, there may be lucky moments, but I don't think a horseshoe is really true at all. We've worked really hard to get to the point that we need to with speed, and our group's executed very good races, and they deserve to be here. So, I mean, yeah, luck, you can interpret luck how you want, but the performance side, you still have to bring fast race cars capable enough to win, and we've done that. So I think that is the biggest thing about our success is everyone's done a good job of figuring out how to get better and where to be better, and then applying it and having fast cars. So, yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. Shut your ass. That's pretty much what he's telling.
Do we know who
right
asked
there.
that question? Is it somebody that we know, or is it some of them? It couldn't be a normal guy.
Well, I'm sure it's one of those folks that's always in the cluster right there.
See, the thing is, though, the wonderful thing, a lot of people don't like the playoff format, and we're not here to have people bitch and moan about the playoff format and all of that stuff. The one thing that it does, though, is it does multiple things. One is it's going to keep Jimmy Johnson from winning 5 championships in a row ever again from happening, because I don't see in this format it's too damn hard to go back to back.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, what it does is it mimics professional sports, because Ryan Blaney and them were damn near eliminated in that first round of 16. They were just barely hanging on. Now, all of a sudden, they're getting hot at the right time. They have the most momentum of any team going into Phoenix because they've run so well in this last round, and then they have the win at Phoenix to kind of keep up the pace. So that bodes well. It's going to come down to a barn burner like always, but, man, they've shown pace, and they have picked up and turned up the wick at the right time.
Yeah, I think he's going to win the title. I mean, he does seem to me like the one that's rolling in here, with the most momentum. And I hope he does.
Him and Larson is going to be sneaky in Phoenix, just because the guy that's won Vegas for the last 3 or 4 years has gone on to win the championship. Because they had a couple extra weeks to talk about it, to think about it. But, man, it's hard. Nobody has come in with as much momentum as Blaney and him have.
Yeah. And, I've watched a lot of different conversations where people are like, William Byron, forget that dude. I mean, he's boring. He ain't worth a shit. I mean,
6 wins.
You know how he's gotten better? How many short track races has that dude gone out and run? He's out there riding around
and won.
Yeah,
not just ran.
He's out there
won.
driving. He's out there driving for Donnie Wilson. He went out there and he honed his craft right there, and he got better in this car. And that's one of the things that's been a talking piece about this car. It's horrible to drive. It's a piece of shit. Whatever the case is. I mean, I don't know. I ain't never.
Yeah, but he may not get to do the Derby if he spins in the top 4.
Oh man, and that's and look, all of you, the people that don't like NASCAR racing. Look, I mean. The dirt track people, your dirt track racers are in the. I mean, if you want to talk shit, talk about, hey, our dirt track racers are in the Final Four. I mean, you got Chris Bell. I mean, you got Lawson. You got all these. I mean, half of them at least are sitting right here. And if you're a real short track, aficionado, to me, William Byron is a short track racer right now. And with Blaney, I mean, with the background that he
Blaney's
has,
limited because Penske won't let him do shit.
right. But,
That's where he's limited. If it was up to Blaney, maybe Keselowski said he'd been running super late models long before he took over at RFK because Roush won't let them, or not Roush, Penske won't let them do anything.
But that's the whole thing. I mean, you look at this right now. You've got three. I mean, you've got three short track guys. Two of them are dirt guys, and they're going to get out there and they're going to race their asses off. And I've seen a lot of, oh man, this Final Four, these guys suck. It's boring. Hey man, I mean, come on. These are our guys.
We've seen worse Final Fours.
Yeah, we have, man. And oh, hello. These are our people that are out there racing. I mean, and that's what we want. And I think the fact that this is going to, I mean, I think Blaney's the one to beat. I mean, I really do. I think with all the momentum, everything that they have going in right there, but these guys are going to drive their asses off, and it's going to be a 4-car show. Let me tell you, all day long, it's going to be those 4 that are going at it.
That's the only ones you're going to see on TV. Don't bitch about it now. That's just the way that it is. It's the way that it is every year. And the part of the reason they're going to be on TV is because they're going to be running up front.
That's right.
They're going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, just like it. It's amazing how, of course, you get the black helicopter.
It's
series.
rigged, dude. It's
rigged. They let those cars cheat so they can all run up front. It's miraculous how well these teams prepare themselves. It's the ultimate stock car series in the world, right? The Formula One is its own place, but in terms of stock car series, especially now that everything's spec, I mean, it's,
And, I mean, I know that folks still beat up on it, but the best example I can think of right now is Memphis Virial. I mean, that's one of our dudes right now. Every time that he gets the opportunity to go race in the truck series, you see him. I mean, I haven't actually. I've asked him this on the Dirty Air. Man, how great is it to be in one of those series? And he talks about, man, it's a life goal, and I totally get it. I mean, to race in dirt track series and dirt late models and all that, yeah, absolutely, man. But to get to be a part of one of these touring NASCAR series, that's a big deal. This is going to be a really good show. I think these guys are going to get out there. They're going to mix it up, and it's. I love the format. I love that we're sitting here watching this. I would much rather see these 4 guys race than Mr. Ironhead Earnhardt be 288 points ahead of whoever, and they're just out there wheeling around for fun. I mean, this is a good finale. I think this is going to be a lot of fun in Phoenix this weekend.
Yeah, Atlanta 1992 every single November.
Yeah, that's what you get. And I do want to kind of go back to some of the comments right there. What the conversation with weather and racing and all that. Magic Mike Knotts, who was on the show last week, he says you can't blame the track owner for bad weather. I mean, you really can't, and you can't blame them for trying. And yes, I get it. That's a very fine line right there to where it's like, okay, you the weather's going to be bad. Maybe you should call it. But what happens when you call it early, my man?
Oh, man, we've been there. You call it early, they still going to bitch. We should have raced. It didn't rain.
You call it early.
It was an 80% chance of rain 2 days ago, and you call it, and then everybody's bitching because it's bright, sunshiny day because the weatherman got it wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, I totally get that. Speaking of weather, I mean, I do want to applaud. We were talking about I-37. Great job for them getting that in. I do kind of want to talk about something that I went back and I listened to some of that and watched some of that on the Race on Texas feed. Alan Torres, man, way to go. I mean, that right there, when you have a tribute race like that, it's so cool when you have somebody that's a part of that wins that race. But I was listening to some of the conversation there with the factory stocks, and again, I'm not picking on the folks that were broadcasting that race, but they were talking about with the factory stocks, with the tires being economical and so forth and so on. But we've had the conversations about factory stock. Yeah, $30 tires,
$100 and $200 shocks. Yeah. Wait, did I just steal your thunder?
No, I'm glad you did it because they're going to bitch at you instead of me.
Yeah, $30 tires is a hell of a deal, but you got $200 shocks times 4.
Yeah, 200?
Well,
damn.
at least the top guys. Actually, the top guys are not spending that money; they're getting those shocks. It's everybody that wants to. It's everybody that wants to get up to that pace is the ones that have to pay for those fancy ass shocks.
Yeah,
but,
and that stock chassis, that stock chassis, $12,000. Man, GM, Ford, and all them are looking at those chassis rolling off of those places. And again, Generation Race Cars, proud sponsor here and partner of ours. But it's like, man, they're rolling these things off the assembly line, and it's like, boom, here comes this factory stock. I mean, when I think of a factory stock or, one of these stock classes or whatever, it's like, okay, I'm looking for a rusty ass roll cage and, the frame's all bent, stock. The horns are all twisted sideways and all this shit.
like an old Corpus Christi bomber.
Exactly, man.
The ones you needed a tetanus shot just to look at.
That's right. And it's like, I totally get it. And that's apparently it. I was about to say that's part of the problem, but it's not a problem because you have that's a thriving class. And speaking of that class, $5,000 to win at the Texana Clash. I mean, you're going to be up there in the digs. You're probably going to have like AC up in there.
I hope so. Well, maybe I may need a heater up
shit.
there in November.
Well,
but
I don't know what's going to be going on over there, but I mean, $10,000 or 10,000. Sorry, Owen. Cord. $5,000 to win in that division right there. You're going to have them coming. They are going to be flying out of the woodwork to be a part of that race.
yeah, I mean they will. It should be an exciting race. Lots of good racing action all the way around. Good purse for everybody involved, all the classes involved. So check out Texana Raceway Park there on Facebook for the full payout. Also, you can catch it there on Race on Texas. They posted it yesterday. So it's if you got a car and it fits the rules, come on down because you probably make some pretty decent cash that weekend down at Texana.
Yeah, and that's all a part right there of the South Texas Championship. Of course, that correlation right there of all the promoters that we had on the program here just a couple of weeks ago where they were all talking about how all this is going to intertwine itself and you're going to crown, champions in the limited modifieds, sport mods, whatever you want to call them, and the factory stocks.
Yeah, factory stock, 5,000 to win, 2,000 for second, 1,000 for third, 900 for fourth, then 800 for fifth, 600 for sixth, 700 or seventh pays 500, eighth pays 400, ninth pays 350, and this is the kicker from 10th to 20th because they're only going to start 20 cars. Just to make the A main there for the class, just $300. That's pretty good money.
That's good money to start, and you're going to have a lot of folks that are going to be coming out for that. And the good thing about that is I love how that weekend right there kind of ties in to where we're kind of past some of the stuff where it's kind of a standalone event right there. It's going to allow these folks, and I mean, with the factory sucks, it's going to bring all the big hitters. I mean, it's going to bring the guys that chase all the money. They're going to show up and they're going to come to Edna and they're going to get out there and race. And I think that that's so important. To me for Texana, because I'm looking at this. Owen is a great friend of our program. Owen, we work with him, whatever you want to call it. But for Cord and them, I mean, with all the shit that they've been through, with the storm and all that, and that's a thing to where I do want to applaud them, Cord and the staff right there with Magnum Services. They could have been like, you know what? Let's just wait till 2024. We'll get the place back in order and try to get a brand new season started. They wanted to get this thing back in shape and put on this badass clash. And I think you're going to bring, and I love, and I posted this, and my man Jeff Hammett kind of tied into this to where that whole thing we were talking about. If you're coming out from 299 miles or more, your ass don't have to pay no entry fee. And I think that's something that, and again, the entry fee is minimal. I mean, it really is. It's minimal. But to me,
yeah, $299 or more, one way. To race, you will not have to pay the entry fee. That's you're gonna get some good guys. The Spring Clash, while it paid not quite this good of a total purse, 24 cars. I think you're definitely going to get more than 24 cars now.
Oh man, you better. I mean, if you don't, I'm going to be pretty disappointed, pretty pissed off. I know that Owen and I talked, for the one earlier in the year, and he assumed that it was going to be more than what they had, and it should have been. But again, that's early in the year, so I mean, I totally get that. But here we are, we're postseason right here, and I think this is just one in a very long line of postseason races. That I mean, seriously, for that kind of money, I mean, you're going to bring them out. I mean,
Limited mod purse not bad, 1,500 to win. Hobby stocks 800 to win. E-mods 800 to win.
Yeah.
Two nights of late models, $1,000 on Friday, 2,000 to win on Saturday, and then IMCA modifieds. I think they are running Friday night only. They run for 1,000 to win.
Oh, I get to call that race.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of money to win, do we want to play our commercials before we bring in our next guest?
Yeah, we got to do that. Let's step aside for just one moment, and we will talk about all of the great folks that make this program possible, because we've got partners now that jump in here and do a lot to make this happen. Coming up, we will talk to Caleb McFarland. Going to talk about some cool stuff happening at 105. 105, the place to be. But before that, take a listen to this.
Hey racers, Phil Whipple here with the Revved Up Sports Show. For the past year, you've heard us talking about our partners over at Generation Race Cars. I'm proud to say they're back again this year, and they're off to a great start. Generation Race Cars, located in Springtown, Texas, continues to offer new chassis body combos all the way to turnkey sport mods and limited modifieds. All cars are built the same as you've seen in Victory Lane with drivers like Alex Hickam, Jeff Shepard, and Dean Abbey. All customers are valued and treated equally, so why not join the winning team? Justin Long is committed to giving each and every customer the time they deserve, along with a commitment to bring quality into every build. If you're ready to join the team, give the guys over at Generation Race Cars a call today at 817-528-2947. You put a lot into your racing program, so why not take it to Victory Lane with Team GRC?
Rogers Dabbs Chevrolet and GM Performance has the absolute best price that you're going to find on GM parts, transmissions, and engines in the country. With the largest inventory as well that you're going to find in the U.S., Rogers Dabbs Chevrolet and GM Performance has what you need and has the best customer service to back it up. Contact one of our Texas team members for quotes and get that on your dock or at your front door as soon as possible. Rogers Dabbs GM Performance. Best inventory, best prices that you're going to find in the United States. Rogers Dabbs GM Performance.
Back here live on another Monday edition of the Revved Sports Show. Good conversation this evening with one of the rising young guns there in Texas, Ryder Wells. If you want to go back and listen to that, you can find all of the archive podcasts on all your providers. Just go make sure you search for it all the way, the Revved Up Sports Show. There's a couple of the Revved Ups out there, but make sure you put the Revved Up Sports Show and you will find all of the up-to-date stuff for our show. For sure. But yeah, all the archives everywhere, Facebook and anywhere else you get your streaming platforms.
Yeah.
There. So lots of good conversation there, and we're about to have some more good conversation coming up here in just a second.
Man, you want to talk about something this year that has blown up? I mean, we talk about hidden jewels when it comes to racetracks and everything, and I've always kind of had the sweet spot right there for the Houston area, to where it's like, man, you got a major market right here of just great. I mean, so many different things that are possible with Houston, and we can talk about asphalt racing and so forth. But 105 Speedway, I mean, promoter of the year.
Promoter of the year.
I mean,
That's right.
we had that happening right there, and now things continue to blossom. I mean, there was a huge announcement coming up with what's going on with the Lone Star 600. So we decided that we're going to dive in here. Let's talk some 105 Speedway, and who better than to go to the man that calls everything right there. Our man Caleb McFarland checking in. Caleb, dude, I mean, it's got to be a joy for you right now to be working at 105, man. You guys are sitting on just such a great momentum shift right now.
Oh man, it's awesome. I mean, first and foremost, I mean, Joey Smith and the whole team out there. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. Promoter of the year. They do a fantastic job giving the racers a great place to race, giving the fans a great place to come watch some good quality entertainment and be done at a reasonable hour. I mean, it's definitely putting Houston area dirt track racing back in a good light. It only dirt track around within about, I think, 250 miles of the Houston area, or 150 miles. I don't remember exactly what the mileage is from Houston to Edna, but there's not much overlap. It's kind of like just sitting right there on East Texas
2 hours.
line.
Yeah, it's about 2 hours from Edna.
About 2 hours down?
About 2 hours from 105 to Texana, give or take how much lead foot you got.
But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of great things going on week in and week out. I mean, we just finished wrapping up our 2023 Halloween Havoc this past weekend, and heat races and qualifiers on Friday, done by midnight. A mains, lower mains, trick or treat for the kids on Saturday, done by midnight. And, we're in a great spot. I mean, things are rolling really good out there at the track. And I mean, me personally, it's nice getting to be about 40 minutes from the house. Can't beat that at all.
No doubt.
So one of the things before we get into just the overall stuff, I want to talk about the Howard Willis race. Because that unofficially, in our poll, that has gone down as the event of the year, as so far with the living legend portion of that race. Talk about that overall excitement, because yes, the night ran a little bit long, but when you have that many cars trying to race into one main event, things get bottlenecked. We all understand that from our announcing side of it. But talk about that night as a whole, because that was one hell of a show at 105.
Yeah, so, I mean, to kind of acknowledge it, right off the bat, we ran late because we had a medical emergency come up at the racetrack that we had to take care of before we could even get the program going. And due to a, transportation kind of issue that fell through, our on-site medical staff that we have, they had to take him in our staff ambulance to the clinic and come back. So, normally in any situation, they'll have a transport that they'll meet and then kind of go from there. So that's why we were down for so long and got a late start. But, everything checked out with the individual. They're in great shape now, good spirits, just kind of a freak accident kind of situation. And, once we got into the racing, like you said, I mean, it was an event that, celebrated a wonderful 50 years of racing for Howard Willis. And, the man's out there still getting it. He'll tell people that he doesn't like racing. He likes winning. And he's made his way to victory lane quite a few times this season. And, he doesn't show any signs of wanting to slow down, no pun intended. But, it's one of those kind of events that when you have people from all over the area that have raced against him throughout those 50 years in many different facets or disciplines, and they all come together, in the camaraderie of the racing family. It's a real special energy that comes around. I mean, you could see it before the races, out in the grandstands area where they had the car on display with the custom wrap, the collage of all the pictures, and fans, staff, other racers coming over to sign the deck lid on that thing. And man, it was a real special night, for Howard, for his family, and also for the racing community in general to kind of come together and get to celebrate and honor a true living legend. I always say it every time, when I'm doing the lineups or his name, the man, the myth, the legend. I mean, the title speaks for itself.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have the distinct honor of Howard Willis telling me on this show that he was coming to kick my ass in a race. So it's kind of one of those things to where I really hold that to my heart. Caleb, I do want to ask you, I mean, kind of talking right there about 105, I mean, just with the market and everything that we're talking about with that, for you to be a part of that and to watch it grow, and you have traveled around the country. I mean, you've seen a lot of different racetracks, and you've seen, I mean, you've been privy to a lot of really cool things. But the fact that right there, this thing is growing in your backyard, a very homegrown effort,
right.
For you, that this has to be pretty special to be a part of this and to be a part of that 105 family.
Hands down. I mean, I credited Joey and the staff earlier on creating the great family environment and doing all the right things to help get a efficient and safe show, through the program and the race night. But, one of the things that I definitely got to see last year and then now in comparison is, ways to run an efficient race program, from the start of hot laps to the conclusion of the race night. One of the things that, that we'll talk about in staff meetings and, different things is everything adds up. Seconds become minutes, minutes become hours. And before you know it, the time gets away from you.
Yep.
And one of the real nice additions that have kind of come about in the pit area is they actually have a TV in kind of like not a shed, but it's got an enclosure for safety purposes, of course, for the weather. But it's got My Race Pass Live hooked up to it, and the lineups sit there and rotate, and it shows the order. Everyone knows at what point they're supposed to be, where and when. It's all in a nice centralized location. And then plus two, with, trying to push, getting My Race Pass, it allows drivers and fans, to have all of the information in their hands to know what's going on, when it's going on. But, outside of just the racing aspect of it, the community and the camaraderie, I know it may sound cheesy, but, we're a family. We work together for 8 months from March to the end of October and one race left of the season every Saturday night. And, that builds a special, community and a place that you want to be and somewhere that you want to go and be a part of, and not like, man, here we go. It's race day. Let's go to work. It makes you want to go be around those people and hang out with them. And I'm not going to lie. I may get in trouble if some people are listening. I hope she doesn't. But, when the races are over, there may be times where I'm home 2-3 hours after the races are over, just because we're talking shop. We're rerunning the race night of things that we did, things that we could do better, things that we could do next week, and just down the pipe. And, every now and again, we just kind of, turns into just good old BSing and hanging out. And, those are the kind of fun moments that, make you enjoy being a part of the racing family. Because, you don't really get that from the end of November on into the next March. I mean, you got hunting season, in the duck blind hanging out with family, but it's the same, but it's a little different, it's a kind of different feel.
I like how he terms it.
Yeah. Hell, I thought hanging out a couple of hours after the races were over drinking beer was a requirement as a racetrack announcer. But maybe that's just me thinking about it wrong. I don't know.
All the traveling I got to do last year, and going to different places across the country, you always have that, offer from all the race teams. Hey, man, you come by for me, but they're staying the night in their toters. They're staying the night in their motorhomes, and I'm getting in my car and driving 3 hours to the next racetrack at 12 o'clock at night. So like the sit back and enjoy and be able to drink some beers after the races, that kind of slowed down and went away a little bit. But now we got one race left, Texas Grand. There's gonna be there's gonna be a little something
Yeah.
more than just a can of beer. We're gonna have some fun. We're gonna go out and we're gonna turn the lights off Saturday night on
There
a
it
great,
is.
fantastic racing season,
There it
and
is.
start counting down till March.
Yeah. And Caleb, isn't that the cool thing? Because I've always said, I mean, I don't mind. I mean, I know a lot of folks, it's like, if you're racing till 2 a.m., I mean, whatever. I don't mind staying at the racetrack till 2 or 3 a.m. doing what you're talking
Right.
about. Talking shop, drinking beer, whatever.
Right.
But I don't want to be racing at 2 a.m. I mean, get this thing done.
Yeah.
And the other shit, it can happen just the way that it needs to happen.
Absolutely. Like, and that's one of the great things that has continued to build from 2021 to 2023
Yeah.
is an efficient racing program. I mean, granted, I was absent last year when touring the national tour of the ASCS, but in that first year, it was one of those kind of fun things, like right out of the gate in 2021, within March, April, the track was getting messages from people upset that we were done before midnight because they were so used to a 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning race program. And we just kind of were surprised, but I mean, we laughed. We're like, well, sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
It's you don't want to keep the fans there that late. The drivers want to be able to be done, go home. Folks want to be able to wake up at a decent hour and not be, racetrack hungover from lack of sleep and falling asleep on a church pew on Sunday morning. Like you want to be able to go the next day without, here we go, kind of deal.
Yeah.
And like you say, I mean, it's different when you're in the booth announcing at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. It's a totally different
that energy is
energy,
gone.
Yeah,
shall
you're
we
done.
say? Yeah.
Caleb,
Absolutely.
speaking of energy, so how do you find a way to do it every single week, man? Because I know, just running down to Texana, it's like a 2-hour ride from my house, but man, sometimes it takes a lot to go twice a month, and you guys are down there every week doing it like we did back 10, 15 years ago. How do you manage to do that and continue to keep the golden tones going?
Passion.
Yep.
That's the only way that I know how to explain it, is a passion for the sport, passion for what I do. This is my 9th year in the industry, and I fell into it, honestly. I was graduating with a broadcasting degree in 2015, and my uncle, who owned the racetrack in Beaumont in 2014, asked me, hey, you want to learn how to do the announcing at the racetrack? I was like, sure. Can't be nothing to it.
Nothing to
Yeah,
Well,
it's easy, yeah.
Boy, was I wrong. My first night in the booth, the American Sprint Car Series National Tour was in town, so I got to share the booth with Brian Holbert my very first night.
Nothing to
Just thrown to the wolves, and let's just say I had a rude awakening on what all it took after just listening to him for one night. I was like, okay. And after learning some things over the years, and taking a lot of the knowledge that I gained when working on a good buddy of mine's stock car team for several years back in college, and that knowledge kind of helps carry on into announcing when kind of talking about different things that the cars are doing. What could be broke, what could not be broke.
Yep.
And then touring with the sprint cars last year and getting to listen to Brian for 20 something nights, or we'll say 30 something nights, because we had a lot of rainouts, but it's supposed to be a 56 race schedule, but rainouts and tire shortages kind of ruined some of that fun. But getting to listen to arguably, in my opinion, one of the best at the national level behind the microphone, you learn so much, and that's kind of one of the things that I wanted to bring to the table, bring to the microphone, and bring to the booth this year. Was a lot of that knowledge and pacing and vocal inflections on when to emphasize stuff, when to get loud, when to get a little rowdy. And, those kind of things go a long way. And, I got lucky, man. I'd be honest with you. That's how I look at it and feel about it, is I was at the right place at the right time on spring break, March of 2014. And I already loved and enjoyed the sport from the time that I'd been around it. And, up till now, I've just been graced and blessed by the good Lord to put me in the right positions and the right people, to keep doing what I love, to keep doing what I enjoy. And I mean, like I say, how do you keep doing it, week in and week out? So from March until, well, we'll say now, because we're off a week before the Grand, we have only had 2 scheduled weeks off, and I believe maybe only 3 rainouts.
Wow.
And people always joke and say that 105 is a geographical oddity. Well, it kind of is.
Yeah.
You can get rain on Friday and be good to go on Saturday. But, it is a rigorous racing schedule. But at the same time, I mean, I mentioned it earlier, like it's a family. You want to be with them. You want to hang out with them.
Yep.
Some days it's a little slow, kind of like, all right, here we go. I'm still tired from Friday night. But, you get through the drive to the racetrack and then you show up and then it's just like,
it just turns
boom.
on.
It just flips on, yeah.
It's just a switch.
Happens.
And, once you're on site and you're kind of, hanging out with everybody, you're just kind of like, all right, here we go. And you just kind of start grooving with it.
Yeah.
And then right when heat racing starts and open ceremonies are done, it's on.
Yeah, that's when the switch. That's when it flips. Is opening ceremonies.
It really does. And Caleb, talk about that part, because I mean, I sit there and I listen to all of you guys, and I go back and critique myself. Doing my stuff, and it's like the one thing that I love listening to you is something you mentioned right there. You really seem to have an understanding of the race cars as it's going on, and I think that's something that folks, because I know folks tell me, it's like, I like when you talk about cars not handling, or you're talking about something that's going to happen right there. When you understand what's happening on the track and the makeup of a race car, I think that really makes our job even more interesting to us calling the races, because it's like, man, you're really you're intrigued, because it's like, okay, the shit's about to happen right here, because I see this different stuff happening.
Yeah, I mean, we saw it a couple of times this past Saturday night with all of a sudden someone's going down and here we go, you see a wheel wobbling, something's bent, there's contact, breaks the rest of the way.
That's right.
Those little things, and outside of, on the positive side, outside of breakages, you can watch how a car's handling when the guy behind him starts reeling him in, getting ready for the pass. And it almost kind of gives you an opportunity to kind of choreograph it and know that it's coming. I mean, the guy's going in too hot on the bottom. He pushes up through the apex. Guy behind him enters high, comes out low, crosses over, bibbity bobbity, giving a zoppity. And there you go. You're able to see it develop when you can watch the patterns, why the car is doing something. And, it makes it where you are, in a way, not calling it before it happens, but you're calling it while it happens.
You're building it up,
like a delayed portion kind of thing. Yeah. And that's one of the things that's kind of nice is getting to have a little bit of that in the back pocket. I will say, though, one of the disadvantages that I have is being colorblind, thanks to my wonderful grandfather. God rest his soul. So sometimes when cars are smoking, I can't tell if it's oil, I can't tell if it's steam, I can't tell if it's rubber, because it's all a different color.
That's okay.
But,
on dirt, it does not matter. On dirt, it doesn't matter.
So I just call it smoke, whether it's, from the engine, from a tire, or just steam. It's smoke.
That's right. That's right.
So, Caleb, a question for you, because I know that you do a lot of the Race on Texas broadcasts like we do.
Yeah.
It seems like the announcers nowadays, and not just us with Race on Texas, but all of the ones that broadcast, it seems like we're put in a unique situation to where we have to find a way to cater to both sets of fans, right? You got to cater to the people that are sitting there in front of you, because they're the eyes, the ears, and the emotion that you feed off of as the announcer. But yet at the same time, we still have to be cognizant of the people that are watching that feed and making sure they feel the same emotion that the people sitting in front of us do. How do you find a way to balance that out over all the years you've been doing this?
So this may sound terrible, and I apologize if it does. However,
I know where you're going.
Yeah, I know where you're going to.
Anyone that has been to a racetrack, anyone that's been in the booth of a racetrack knows that when cars are under power, it's very difficult to hear.
You ain't going to hear us.
Nope.
So knowing that, and taking I guess you could say a page from, my broadcasting stuff back in college, is, knowing when to, flip the switch. So when the cars are under caution laps, that's when you're communicating, with both parties.
Amen.
Or say with both parties, excuse me, with both listeners. Because the people in the grandstands, they're able to hear the color commentary on what the incident was, what the call was, why the call was what the call was, who's moved up so many positions, who's what fastest time, et cetera, et cetera. But the moment that the light goes off and the cars start to build the noise coming through turns 3 and 4,
To the stream.
that's when the flip switches and the switch flips, and that's when it kind of goes to the broadcast commentary. And it sounds terrible to say and explain like that, but I mean, it's a tough industry.
No.
It's one of those where you have to kind of balance it out, and then when the patrons in the grandstands are able to hear you clearly without a lot of noise, that's when you're able to do a lot of the fun fan engagement and kind of get them involved in the program. One of the things that I really love that Joey's wife Tasha puts together is, at least once a month we do something for the fans, some type of game or fan engagement. We did I believe Colin Bell was there that night. It was a Jello drinking contest, I think.
Oh.
And a little cup of Jello and a straw, first one to finish. I think that was that weekend. And then we've done the fruit roll-up challenge where you have to eat the fruit roll-ups, or the frozen T-shirt contest. That's a good fun one. I'm sitting here telling all of our fun secrets on the things that we do during intermissions for the
The
fans.
key to the frozen T-shirt contest is you have to let the T-shirt defrost first. It can't be completely frozen because then they can't rip it apart to put it on.
We found a recipe for it for success on the amount of water and the amount of time in the freezer. But I can't let that secret out.
That's right.
Let's just say that after giving them bricks in previous years, Tasha's got it down now.
Nice.
And
That's nice.
it didn't take as long this time, but it was still real fun and interesting to watch.
Yeah.
It's a fun event. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, it's really neat to kind of see the different, I guess you could say, strategies. The 2 times that I've been at the track when we've done it, Christopher C.T. Townsend has won the event by taking the shirt and beating it on the nearest hardest object. And it kind of like helped break and loose it up where you could get a hand on some sleeves. And I was like, all right,
there it is.
That's a way to do it.
Yeah,
that's how you do it right
But
there.
to kind of like circle back a little bit, no, it's truly one of those things where you just kind of have to know the audience and feel out the engagement, and just kind of base it from there, and knowing what's happening at the racetrack at that moment for who you're talking to.
Well, and I think the whole thing with you, I mean, it makes it better, like that being your racetrack. I mean, you know your audience. I mean, it's like when I go to HMP, I know that I need to be in the catwalk announcing down there. I mean, I don't do that anywhere else anymore, but I know that's what they want. But so kind of circling back to 105. So you've talked about the Texas Grand. That's coming up. But dude, we find out this past week, here comes the Lone Star 600, dude. That has to be so massive for you guys. I mean, you now have, seriously, you now have 2 of the, I'm going to go out on a limb right here, the 2 marquee events at your racetrack, man. That's got to be pretty kick-ass for all you guys.
Man, I kind of had an idea that it was coming. There was a bird that told me. And people started asking me, hey man, where's the 600 going? Where's the 600? Man, I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I don't know.
That's the best part, isn't it?
And, because and we know in the sport that nothing's official until it's released on a website or it's released by the track social media page, because rumors are rumors, talk is talk. But until the people that foot the bills and put on the show make the announcement, that's when it's official.
That's right.
And, at the time I got told about it, it was just kind of talks of, what could be happening, what might happen. And when I saw Brad and Jack's video released on the Big Race Promotions page on Facebook, like, follow, and share, they did a fantastic job explaining why it's home and what the new format's going to be. And man, it's going to be one of those kind of events that it's going to not necessarily take it as an enduro race, but also make it a enduro race of a race, having to race your way into the final stages and, not just, hang on for 300 laps, but you're going to have some speed. You're going to have to be able to pass people, finish in the top X amount of cars in each division, to move up into the higher pay scales between the gold, silver, and bronze. And, we're excited about it. I mean, like I say, 2 big marquee events between that and the 28th annual Texas Grand. I mean, 2 long running events. I mean, 28 years, 11 years. And, one of the things I'm excited about with the 600 is it's coming back to the Houston area where it began, where I got involved. I got to flag 1 year of it. We joke around all the time, Brad and I. So they didn't have a green flag. So we took a green Lone Star 600 event shirt and taped it on a dowel rod, and that was my green flag.
Hell yeah!
And people distinctly remember that year from Battleground Raceway Park. That that was the year with the T-shirt flag, and I'm like, yeah, that was me. Yeah. So awesome. It's cool to kind of get to have it back in our home area in the Houston area, and outside of just, the great things that it's going to do for the track and for, the racers in the area, it's going to do a lot for the Cleveland community. Yeah. Mesquite, Texas, it's a small town, but it's kind of a big town. It's a big, small town, not like Reno, but different. Yeah. And, Cleveland's going to see the economic impacts in it, from the restaurants, from the hotels in the area, from the mom and pop shops, from the mom and pop restaurants. And that's one of the things that, is really awesome about being in this industry at 105 Motor Speedway in a little town of Cleveland, Texas, is being able to be involved in the community and be able to give back to the community by what we do and how we do it. And, we had somebody message us and let us know that, we're the only track that they've been to this season that veterans, active duty, military, and first responders, they all get in free. No discounts, all free. And we were surprised. We didn't know that we were the only one doing that. But that's one of those little small things that you don't think twice about it. I mean, they're the people that protect this country around the world. They protect you and serve you in your communities. You got to do what you've got to do to kind of help give back to them. Pardon me. Echo, send Jeffrey home. Robot just went off. And, it's one of those kind of things that never a dull moment. Never a dull moment, guys.
That's why we do this shit live, man.
At any rate. Had to turn it off for the dogs got a little crazy. But, it's going to be really fun to get to have that energy and fun camaraderie because, we're going to go from the Lone Star 600 the first weekend of October to 2 weeks later, the Halloween Havoc, 2 weeks later, the 29th annual Texas Grand, and moving to 2024. Anyone that's listening, it's going to be next year we're talking about.
There it is.
Everything's going to be 2 weeks apart, and a line from a movie that has a chain gang with George Clooney. I don't know about copyright reasons and things, but he talks about, well, isn't this place a geographical oddity? 2 weeks from everywhere. Well, we got race every 2 weeks from everywhere, so it's gonna be nice.
Well,
it'll be fun.
And that's the one thing, Caleb, like I was talking about right there. I mean, you are within, somewhat earshot of Houston. And, I've talked about it, for the longest time, like I said, on the pavement side, to where it's like, man, that geographical area right there, man, it's a hotbed waiting to be tapped on. And I really think that with the 600 coming in and with the Grand and with Halloween Havoc and just all the momentum that's happening right there, man, you guys are sitting in a spot to where, and I think that with your promoters and yourself, you guys are going to sit here and push this thing. And I think next year is going to be so badass for you guys.
Oh, it's going to be awesome. We've already kind of started talking about some neat little quirks and things that are coming up the pike for 2024, and the little things.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
gonna
yeah,
tell
yeah,
you.
yeah. No,
But
I get it.
you know, as we're getting ready to wrap up 2023, you're always looking forward, and to look forward, you also have to look backward to know where you've been so that you can know where you're going. And it's going to be real fun, kind of, getting together with everyone and debriefing a little bit on, I'm sure that'll at some point happen in the off season of, what are things we did great? What do we need to work on? Where do we need to improve? Because, you look at, any business, because at the end of the day, a racetrack is a business.
That's right.
You look at any good business and they evaluate where things at and how to improve them. That way you're giving your best customer service, your best product out the door to the customer.
Yep.
And, granted, it happens throughout the entire racing season, but you're always able to kind of go back with a much smaller lens and look at things when the year is over, to be able to gauge and put a lot of great things back into 2024 moving forward that were done. And it's fun. I mean, it's there's nothing like it. You guys know this too. Like, when you get to the end of the year, it's a love-hate relationship with the end of the year, because it's
thank goodness it's done, but at the same time,
right.
And then the next weekend you're bored.
At the same time,
like,
it's
what
like,
am I gonna do?
shit, it's done.
Right. Like, it's, you don't get to go see your friends and racing family on Saturdays anymore.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, well, I got Saturdays. I can go duck hunting now every weekend from now to the end of January. It's the little things, but I always kind of joke and tell people that, 2 seasons, keep me looking forward through the years. Racing season, go to work Monday to get you through to Saturday. And then the same thing when racing's over, you go to work Monday, looking forward to going duck hunting to get you through to the weekend. Like, it's a little fun things that, that motivate you and kind of get you going. I mean, yeah, looking forward and, trying to be like, all right, 5 more days to a paycheck, 5 more days to a paycheck.
There
but,
it is.
That's, in my opinion, that's kind of like when you start limiting your mindset to when you get money and not when you get the opportunity to, make memories and have those moments that are just priceless that money can't buy.
That's right. That's right.
So Caleb and Joey and you guys get ready to release that 2024 schedule. You guys are always welcome on these airwaves. Because he is the reigning promoter of the year, so we got to get him on the airwaves at some time. So when you guys get ready, don't forget about us over here at the Revved Up Sports Show. You guys are welcome at any time.
We'll drop it.
Absolutely. That's going to be one of the fun things is, during the, I know, I'm sure Chris David has used the phrase with y'all from Race on Texas, it gets to silly season. Once you get in the off season, everything's kind of like, woo, trying to figure everything out. But, as it sits right now, there's not much silliness going on. Things are pretty focused on moving forward into 2024. And, we'll definitely have a chat.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Once those things get lined out and made public, we'll have to get Joey on here and kind of break them down and go over some of the big events and plans that are in line for 2024.
Yeah, no doubt. Caleb, you guys are doing one hell of a job. Congratulations on all of your success. Glad to have you.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Glad to have you back home and doing your thing out there, man. You guys are on a roll. Keep that stuff up, and let's do this more often, my man.
Absolutely. Thank y'all again for the opportunity to come out here and, in my opinion, brag on the fastest bull ring in Texas, doing all the great things that they're doing. Just
damn right.
Honored and blessed to be a part of it.
Damn right. Be proud, man. All right, buddy. We'll do it again soon. Have a good Texas Grand, and then have a good short off season, because before you know it, we're back at it once again.
Absolutely. We'll blink and it'll be over.
That's right. That's right. All right, buddy. Take care. Thanks for the time.
Y'all have a good one.
You betcha.
Cheers.
You got it. There he goes. All right, man. I'll tell you, 105, and that's the whole thing, man. These guys, they are rolling. They are absolutely rolling.
They got their stuff together, and it's all about that momentum.
Oh,
I think they were building a good program at the end of 23, right? Because it takes
Yeah.
a little bit to get your foot in the door and get settled and run a racetrack how you want to run it. But it's like they had that momentum build at the end of 22, into 23, it started rolling. But it's that Howard Willis race, I think, that put them on the map and had everybody paying attention to what all the good kick-ass stuff they were doing at 105 this year.
Yeah, I mean that really is a thing right there, and I think a lot of it is, with the whole Howard thing. I mean, the whole thing with him, 50 years and winning a championship there in his final year and everything that he was looking to do, and kind of what we're talking about right there. And I'm glad that Caleb and them are kind of seizing in to the one thing that I've talked about for so long, and this is not to discount anything that's happening at the pavement track, but it's like, man, go out and seize that market. I mean, there's so much right there, and everything. I mean, everything happens. You look at these racetracks, like you talked about right there, benefiting Cleveland, Texas, and so forth. But man, you've got this metropolis of shit right. I mean, I say right down the road, but
well, close enough. I mean,
close enough.
within an hour drive of Cleveland, you've got the rednecks up north that love to go racing and they want to spend their money at a racetrack. And then, further south, you've got all the high dollar money in the city slickers that want to go enjoy racing. That's a perfect combination.
It really
you get
is.
a little bit from the south, a little bit from the north, toss in some salt and pepper east and west, and that's exactly what they've been doing, and it's a hell of a successful formula for them.
And I think the thing is, with the 105, what they have the ability to do, and this is where we talk about with Waco and Kennedale and some of these tracks, they have the ability to race every fucking week. I mean, it's like they're always racing. There's always something going on. I mean, there's a regular show, and then you have the sprinkled big shows coming in, and now I mean, talking about like he was talking about right there. Think about what you have next year. You've got Halloween Havoc. You're going to have the Grand and the Lone Star 600 right in the middle of all that. I mean,
yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. That's going to be a hell of a
shit. What kind of race calendar is that? I mean,
that's going to be a
oh man,
season-ending calendar there. That's going to blow. You talk about the nuclear bomb that's going to blow everybody out of the water. That's the one that's going to do it right there,
man. And that's great. And I love. With Brad and Jack, how they've gone in and because that was the one question that I was getting, when everything happened, with Devil's Bowl. It's like, well, shit, where are you going to run that race? I mean, it's got to be a half mile or whatever. But I mean, how great are they that here we are, just what are we, 4 weeks past the Lone Star 600? They've already revamped this event.
Yeah, they come in with a new formula and all of that.
It's all fixed. I mean, it's all resolved on what's going to happen right here. And I mean, I seriously think that this is going to. I mean, it may even draw more people because, I mean, to me, with the increased purse and the way that everything is kind of changed up, to me, it's even more appealing. I mean, to me, if I was looking to do something like that. But, I mean, great conversation right there. Caleb McFarland and him. I mean, how about him? Getting out here, kind of gone around, done a bunch of different stuff, and here he is. He's found his home right there and just doing a great thing right there.
It's always nice when you find your home as an announcer, right?
Yeah. Yep.
When you find the little racetrack that likes you and you get along good with the fans and the racers and all that, it's nice to find a racetrack to be able to call your own and to call it home. So that's something we all look forward to as announcers.
Yep. Very good thing. Very good thing. Don't forget, you guys, Texas Grand is coming up. So more information, check out 105 Speedway there on Facebook. Before we dive out of here, Bobby, I do want to talk about it. I got to talk some shit about, and I see our man Matt Kempf has checked in, and this is a perfect time for me to bring this up. I mean, just because he's a NASCAR guy. Richard Childress Racing. With all of this shit going on right here, and I have been one of these guys
dumpster fire right now.
I'm like, man, get them grandkids out of those cars, go out and get you some not real drivers, but go out and get you some of these other guys, get some people in there. But man, what they did this weekend in the Xfinity race, I mean, come on. I mean, Andy Petrie and RC, that to me right there, that was family-owned business to a T. You get out there, and I mean, seriously, I don't know. I want to know what Sheldon Creed did to piss them off, because man, that dude, that is like the
Bristol, I think, is where it started.
Oh my goodness, and
they got together at Bristol,
and it's like Austin Hill. I mean, great race car driver, Austin Hill, but it's like tough guy. But I'm like, dude, quit your fucking bitching here, dude.
It's he's a tough guy to like.
Yeah, he is. and it's like, man, you're a tough guy, but man, you sure bitch and complain a lot. And I mean, to literally say, I can't wait till he's gone. I mean, come on, man. That's chicken shit if you ask me.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens with the ride on Saturday in Phoenix. We'll see what kind of ride he gets.
He's going to have the biggest piece of shit you've ever found, man.
I guarantee you that motor's going to blow.
Oh, man.
He will not finish that race.
Well, and I text you the other day. I'm like, or today, I'm like, you just wait. It's going to be Thursday or Friday. They're going to put one of them Dillon boys in the 2 car and like throw him out. Let's bring in one of these badass racers.
Oh, we'll
Ty
see.
Dillon.
It's
Austin Dillon.
It's interesting over there, that's for
Ace.
sure.
Let's put Ace in here. He can fix it.
That's what happens when you have more than one number one driver. They think they have more than one number one driver on a team. So.
Well, and that's the whole thing right there. I mean, they and what I mean, seriously, what did Sheldon Creed do wrong? I mean,
if he wins, he's in.
And that's the bottom line. That's the bottom line.
If he wins that race, he's in the championship 4.
Yeah, and with all
because the
that,
21 half-ass wrecked himself on the outside when he went into turn 3 and 4 and parked that sumbitch, and he got tagged from behind by somebody. I think it's Nemechek. That's what ruined that race for him.
And if I'm Sheldon Creed, man, when Austin Hill is, man, I can't wait till he goes to Gibbs, man. If I'm Creed, I can't wait to get to Gibbs, and I'm going to shove this car right out. I'm going to outperform you guys so bad. I am going to outperform you guys so freaking bad that it's going to make you guys sick that I left there.
Well, that's the idea anyway, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Well, and I mean, that's the whole thing. I saw something this week to where some folks were saying that maybe Ace ought to step away and try to run the operation, get RC, to kind of take a step back. I mean, yeah, you try to get him out of there.
Yeah, getting Grandpa out of there is going to take getting Pop out of there is going to take a little bit of elbow grease there.
It's like the Ewing oil of NASCAR right there, watching these guys get out there and do what they're doing. And it's like, for all the folks, it's like, NASCAR died, Richard Childress, whatever. Well, Richard Childress right now, RCR racing is not, to me, the staple of all of this. I mean, and by the way, Sunday, their cars were shit.
The only one that's halfway stepping away is Rick Hendrick because he got Jeff Gordon in there.
Well, yeah, and that's a whole thing.
And Roush is stepping away just because Roush has been away for a little bit, and then Penske's got IndyCar stuff to worry about.
Well, and with Brad, taking over kind of right there, kind of at the helm, you could kind of say kind of the face of what you're doing with the Roush stuff. I mean, that's great, but I mean, I don't think that RC wants to go away, and he kind of wants to just continue to do. What's the definition of insanity?
Doing the same thing over and over and expecting the same results.
And that's what they're going to be doing. They're going to be expecting the result that they had way back in the 90s, and they're not going to get any better. You got to get better guys in those cup cars, and you got to quit doing stupid shit like pissing off a good driver like Sheldon Creed. But he's moving on. And speaking of moving on, Eric Almirola is stepping out, and it seems the more that I hear from insiders, from friends that I have in North Carolina, it sounds like Noah Gragson is going to take over that 10 car.
Oh, he got Black Rifle Coffee money.
And that's going to be the redemption for him. It's going to be just like Lawson, where you kind of you have to step away from that, and you come back and you dive into an opportunity like that. You get a lot of guys. Remember Kurt Busch when he got into situations, he was having to come back and drive for Finch and all these different people and having to bust ass to do it in subpar equipment. Noah Gragson's about to dive into something really badass and do something really cool. I think the 10 cars are really going to be relevant now with a dude like that behind.
Because the legacy cars are not going to be running this year. How well they'll be running next year.
That's right. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. All right, we're done. We're done bitching and complaining.
Yeah, 8:15. We lasted a long time.
Yeah, kind of
bonus edition of the Revved Up Sports Show.
Bonus, and it's because we got to talk to good folks like Ryder Wells.
Yeah,
that dude's badass.
Yeah, he got a bright future ahead of that kid.
Yeah, he does. Caleb McFarland talking about the cool stuff with 105. Hell, we didn't even have a mystery guest. We didn't need it.
Didn't need it tonight.
Didn't need it.
Happy Halloween, everybody.
Oh, that's right. You guys be careful when you're out trick-or-treating tomorrow. It's going to be cold, so bundle up. Don't eat any laced candy. Don't be lacing candy.
Yeah.
I feel like we have to tell this audience that.
Yeah.
Because these are some of the, folks that we deal with on this program.
Yeah, save the cocaine and hookers for New Year's Eve, not Halloween.
Or for race day. Save those for race day.
Headers. That's what we're talking
Especially-
about. The hooker headers. Yeah.
Especially when I'm there. That's gotcha.
I got
You want to
nothing
give
else.
me a treat? Bring those. Bring me those hooker headers.
Yeah, bring you hooker headers.
All right, guys. We're going to do this again next Monday. We might sneak in some kind of Winston Cup Final Four preview. One of the dirt guys is going to be a champion.
I don't know. Put my money on Blaney right now. I'd like to see Larson win it, but Blaney's just too hot right now.
Yeah, a lot of Mo. Old Mo is with them. And I think that Blaney would be a great champion for NASCAR.
As long as he shaves that beard.
No, leave it after November. After
Yeah.
he wins a title. After he wins a title. All right, you guys, follow along. Hit all the socials. Check in. Be a part of that. Like the subscribe to the YouTube page, and check in all the time because we do this every week just to entertain you people.
Among other reasons, but yes, that's the main one.
Thank you, On Demand Shirts. Thank you, Generation Race Cars. Thank you to Rogers Dab Chevrolet GM Performance. He's Bobby. I'm Rodney. We're out of here. We're going to freeze our ass off in Texas. We'll see you guys next Monday. We'll do it again. # Real Race Talk. Thank you for being a part of it.